Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Moon Podcast, and here I will be talking about art and music, why we love it, what makes them good, and their benefits. I will also be talking about other people's artwork and music too. Now, I speak as an artist. I've been drawing all my life. I love making art as well as other people's art. I like how other people create images that spark the imagination. It's like food for the brain. The good ones inspire you, and the bad ones encourage you to do better. What prompted me to make this video is that I recently visited the Wallace collection in central London. It has some of the most wonderful paintings from Renaissance period, Baroque, and Neoclassical periods. I recommend you go there and check it out. So now I'll begin with art. I did some reading into some scientific studies. I found similar results for both art and music. So I am going to cover both of them here. I will put the links to all of the studies in the description below. So what is it about art that's good for us? Firstly, it makes us feel better and challenges us intellectually. According to a study on the National Library of Medicine, viewing paintings and object recognition improves our ability to processing information as well as help you analyze your emotions, thus helping you organize your thoughts in order to verbalize them. There is also another study that says art helps you relax. When we engage in meaningful activities, it reduces the likelihood of stress-related diseases and reduces the risk of dementia. I'll read a quote from an extract here. Quote, specifically, it was found that music, drawing, meditation, reading, arts and crafts, and home repairs, for example, can stimulate the neurological system and enhance health and well-being, unquote. So basically, such activities reduces stress and slows down the rate of cognitive decline. Making art, regardless of skill level, reduces your cortisol levels, which lessens stress, reduces anxiety, and combats depression. This is similar to a study I found about music. According to one study in the National Library of Medicine, music has been used as a form of therapy for depression. There is also evidence that music cures physical pain too. In a study conducted in Denmark in the year 2014, found that music may be beneficial for patients with fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a disorder that causes muscle pain, joint pain, and fatigue. The 22 patients who listened to relaxing music they chose experienced reduced pain and increased mobility. So clearly, art and music have therapeutic effects on our minds. Creating visual art improves connections in the brain. According to a study conducted in 2014, making visual art can improve connections throughout the brain known as the default mode network. In other words, it makes you think. Even a drawing as simple as a mindless little doodle here and there is a sign of a thinking brain. The mere act of doodling actually helps you organize your thoughts. It's no surprise that students are doodling during a boring class in school. They are trying to keep their brain active while trying to prevent their brains from shutting down due to an unstimulating lesson. I can relate to that because I used to doodle a lot when I was in school. To this day, I still do. While we are on the subject of doodling, this can be used as a tool to help you arrange your thoughts into a narrative, a story if you like, in a way that will help you solve your problems and reframe your way of thinking to change your perspective on things. This is a way of converting emotions into thoughts, thoughts to words, or words into images. It's like bringing order to chaos within yourself. Drawing can also help improve your memory. According to a study on the Wiley Online Library, people who doodled were 29% more likely to recall information than those who don't draw at all, and only rely on memorizing information by forceful determination, in a way one would hastily study for an exam. Drawing or doodling helps you relax your mind, to think and to reflect on things. But here is something that needs to be asked. Why do students listen to music while revising for an exam or writing an essay? Why do people listen to music while they work? Is there a link? It turns out that there is. A positive link between music and its effect on the brain. Music can stimulate the brain and improve the memory. According to a 2014 study conducted by the National Library of Medicine, music helps improve the ability to absorb more information and stay focused. With this in mind, according to England NHS, music reduces the likelihood of getting Alzheimer's and dementia. This is because music stimulates certain memories from the past, which get the brain thinking, such as a childhood memory or a reminder of a shared experience with loved ones. When all this comes together, music is good for our brains. Speaking of studying, this brings me to another phenomenon. In psychology, there is a term known as the flow. This is when you are totally absorbed into what you are doing. You are so focused you are enjoying the task at hand. In layman's terms, this is what people mean when they say they are in the zone. This is the mental state of heightened focus and immersion in activities such as art and music. This is the state of mind when a person is not really concerned with the end result, but rather enjoying the current process, the present moment. I would like to posit here that this is the most relaxed state of mind which resembles Zen Buddhism. When one is in the flow of things, it is a feeling of full engagement in an activity, motivation, with the strongest positive effect on one's moods. There is a study that explains what flow is in more detail in the Springer Link website. I'll put the link to that study in the description below. So basically, art and music makes us focus. Whether we look at art or listen to music, we are absorbed into it. While we create art and music, we ourselves are absorbed into what we are making. Another benefit to art is that it helps us overcome sadness. As I mentioned earlier, how we convert emotions into organized thoughts, we are able to tell stories through art. Art enables us to express our feelings, and one of them is sadness. By making art, we show the world how we feel, and it helps us connect with other people. When an artist makes a sad painting, we can almost feel the pain and sadness that the artist feels. To give you an example, I'm going to go on a slight tangent here by talking about some artists and some of their artwork. Post-Impressionist painter Vincent van Gogh is famous for his style of painting. He was known for his use of dashes that formed swirly patterns. Starry Night is a famous example. The Dutch painter was schizophrenic and bipolar. Despite being a good artist, he spent most of his life poor, and his paintings went unnoticed. Imagine how sad he must have felt throughout that time. When you look at the bold brushstrokes of his paintings, you can almost feel the rage contained within him, projecting his emotions through the paintbrush onto the canvas. His marriage proposal was rejected. He cut off his own ear in response to a big fight he had with a friend, and then he committed suicide by shooting himself in the chest. I don't know every detail of his life, but I'm guessing he lived quite a sad life. Perhaps his artwork was a way of crying out for help, or maybe he just wanted someone to understand him better. Unlike Van Gogh, French painter Claude Monet was an impressionist painter who focused on the more positive aspects of life. He painted scenery with colors that had gentle tones. He gave everything a little gentle blend. He painted gardens, scenery, and people, etc. When he painted his garden, he marveled at the beauty of nature. When you look at his paintings of his fields or garden, he is expressing his love for nature, marveling at the colors. We can see the different times of the day that he painted them. For those of you who are unfamiliar with such terms, Impressionist art is a rejection of the strict realism of the paintings that came before the 1800s, like Baroque and Renaissance paintings. Impressionism focuses more on light and color with visible brushstrokes. To give you a good example of this, I recommend you check out the paintings of Claude Monet, particularly his paintings of the Rouen Cathedral that he painted at different times of the day. Look at the choice of colors he used, the brighter colors for the light and the darker colors for the shadows. Another example of his paintings are the water lilies. Let's just say he loved his garden. What you will notice is that Impressionist imagery is blurred compared to Baroque and Renaissance paintings. However, Post-Impressionism focuses more on patterns that are made using brushstrokes. They have more defined lines, with bold colors that stick out. They are not gently blurred like Impressionist paintings. Claude Monet was an Impressionist painter. Van Gogh was a Post-Impressionist painter. Suppose we put side by side Monet's painting of Meadow of Givony in spring and Van Gogh's Meadow in the Mountains. You will immediately notice the contrast between the moods, the styles, the brushstrokes, and the difference in color. I don't think these two painters ever met, but imagine what would have happened if they did. Maybe Monet would have been a good friend to Van Gogh. the friend he needed. Maybe Monet would have given Van Gogh some guidance to help cheer him up. Two paintings of the same time period in Europe. The point here is these two men were expressing their feelings using art. One was sad, the other was happy. As a result of the lives they lived, they created moving art we can relate to. While we are on the subjects of art and expressing of one's feelings, I have to mention one particular artist who also lived in the 1800s, a Japanese artist named Utagawa Kuniyoshi. His block printing is a completely different style. Utagawa Kuniyoshi was born on the 1st of January 1798 and died on the 14th of April 1861. Born and raised in the city of Edo, which is modern-day Tokyo, even though he was wealthy, he was self-taught. Van Gogh was born on the 30th of March 1853 in Holland, died on 29th of July 1890 in France. Claude Monet was born on the 14th of December 1840 in France and died on the 5th of December 1926 in France. While Van Gogh and Monet were using oil paints and canvases, painting gardens, meadows and portraits, etc., Utagawa Kuniyoshi was combating censorship. Even though he came from a wealthy family, the Tokugawa shogunate tried to censor art with the tempo reforms of 1841 to 1843. Far from being discouraged by censorship laws, Utagawa was able to overcome this by creating art that pushed the rules as far as they could go. Thus, he became a legendary artist in Japan. Utagawa made art using woodblock printing. His art focused on samurai, beautiful women, landscapes, and animals, to name a few. He wasn't concerned with realism at all. He wanted to make art that would stun the people who had looked at them. He made dramatic images. He portrayed everything as majestic beings. He showed the beauty and elegance of Japanese women, samurai as heroic, powerful men, animals as mystical creatures to marvel at, waterfalls and mountains as if they are gods. To this day, his artwork is still very popular, that it's available as all kinds of merchandise that you can buy almost anywhere on the internet. So, getting back to my point about how art enables us to express our feelings, it is a way to unleash ourselves through a variety of mediums. We all have something to say, because we all have experienced something that made us feel happy and sad, that we want to share it with others. There are so many artists and artwork that I like, that I could go on and on about them, but we'll be here forever. I guess what I'm trying to say is, when an artist projects their feelings onto a piece of artwork, they are telling a story. When other people see it, it gives them a chance to think and reflect on it. And if they understand the message, they can even relate to it by saying, yes, I feel it too. It's like reading, except it's with images and even music. As the saying goes, a picture is 1,000 words. It's a reminder that we are human. Alongside literature, art and music have expanded into theatre, animation, filmmaking, and video games, giving us more positive experiences than ever before. As I mentioned earlier, the way we organize our thoughts, philosophies can be converted into music, and art and stories into music. There is a piece of classical music called also sprach, Zarathustra, which is based on the Superman, the Übermensch, in the book Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. The philosophy of overcoming oneself, overcoming one's surroundings and difficulties. This theme was featured in Stanley Kubrick's movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. Whilst we delve more into classical music, one masterpiece worth mentioning is Entry of the Gods into Valhalla by Richard Wagner. Here, Richard Wagner tells the stories of Norse mythology through his compositions. Eventually, classical music evolved into rock music, and then from rock music into heavy metal. Over the decades, the music evolved. We had Rolling Stones and the Beatles, from Led Zeppelin to AC/DC, from Iron Maiden to Cradle of Filth, from Metallica to Sepultura, from Slipknot to Mudvayne, from Nirvana to Seether, the list goes on. We are talking about a whole world within our own world. And now, to balance this out a little, to this gentle close as we come towards the end of this video, I'd like to include a little bit of sweet jazz. One in particular, which I think is really nice. This piece is called What a Difference a Day Makes by Dinah Washington. Here she is expressing her love for her man. It's sweet and soft, elegant and romantic. So, why do we love art and music? It's good for us. Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If there is an artist or musician you like, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Finally, I will conclude this video with a piece of music. As this is the Moon podcast, I will share with you Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven, accompanied by some oil paintings of the moon. Take good care of yourselves.